Beautiful Sunday afternoon getaway day for both the Rockies and the Giants. The Rockies 7-4 on getaway days. They'll head down the coast a bit to Los Angeles to take on the Dodgers beginning tomorrow night. But first things first, the Rockies looking to take 3 of 4 from the Giants. Charlie Blackmon's going to lead things off for Colorado against Ty Blach. Blach comes in with a 3-4 record. Charlie threw out a couple of hits yesterday. 2 nights ago, he concluded a 6-1 victory with a towering home run to right, his 12th of the year. So Blach's ready to go. Charlie steps in. We are glad you're along with us this afternoon from San Francisco. First pitch is at the knees for a strike. Blach, not only a product of Regis High School, but Creighton University in Omaha. That's outside. Take a look at his arsenal, and as Spilly was talking about, nothing's overwhelming. He's not going to strike people out. He wants the ball in play, and when he's going well, it's going to be on the ground 55% of the time.
Well, he's an elite ground ball pitcher. He's closer to 60%, and I was curious because he doesn't strike out a lot of batters. In fact, his strikeouts per 9 is below 5. So I was looking to see how many players in the last couple years have had a 55% ground ball rate above that, with a strikeout rate below 5%. The last person to do that, Drew, was Henderson Alvarez back in 2012.
Of Miami. And this ball's poked to Belt and left, and he makes the catch. He just keeps you off balance enough and off the barrel enough that when he's on, he can be very successful. Let's take a look at the Rockies Southwest batting order. You'll notice that Ian Desmond has slid up to the 2 spot for today's game. Nolan is 7 for 11 against Blach. Trevor Story, Chris Iannetta, Noel Cuevas getting the start. Cargo's been out of the lineup the last 2. He'll be in the 7th spot in front of Pat Valleca playing second base. First pitch misses to Desmond. He's put together better at bats the last couple of days, getting some results, Corey.
Yeah, it's evidenced by the walks, I think. In his first 41 games, he had 6 walks. In the last 3 games, he's had 3. He's starting to slow the game down and see the ball a little bit better.
Was he on base 3 times yesterday? The 2 walks that Corey was alluding to, and a sharp single. He had a stolen base, scored a couple of runs. The Rockies had a disappointing day otherwise as they fell 9-4 to the Giants. They led 2-0 early. 1-2. This is a guy, don't you go up there and you have to think opposite field gap, right?
Have to. And you have to look for the ball up. He's going to live at the knees. His ball has late fade to it, so it's going down.
He throws that changeup there about 23% of the time. His fastball averages around 89 or so. So this is, he's an unusual guy in today's game. 2-2, and this is on the ground to short. 2 outs. Take a look at the Giants defensively. We begin in the outfield. Now we begin in the infield. How about that? Brandon Crawford at shortstop, playing his 999th game in a Giants uniform. And as we go to the outfield, Brandon Belt is in left field. We talk so frequently now about positional versatility, to have a first baseman who can hit like Belt with the ability to go to the outfield. It's kind of like Ian Desmond.
It is like Ian Desmond, and it really does open up the ability for Buster Posey to play first base for them, which is a big, big key, so that he doesn't have to be behind the plate as many games.
And you have to have his bat in the lineup. Other catchers, when they get a day off, typically it's a full day off. With the Giants, and they've done this for years, they don't want to play a game without Posey's bat in the lineup. But you can't beat him up 140 times behind the plate. So they throw him at first base, and now with interleague play, he gets opportunities to DH as well.
Well, they've been talking about it. It's going to be a crowded roster as soon as Hunter Pence comes back. Mac Williamson is another player that's been on the DL.
They're basically giving Hunter Pence a spring training for his rehab. He's had almost 60 at-bats on his rehab assignment. He's doing very well. Mac Williamson, who you mentioned, has played 2 ball games rehabbing from a concussion. He's hit a home run in each of them. Here's the 1-2, and a line drive right at Kelby Tomlinson. So Blach keeping the Rockies off balance in the first inning. We'll see Tyler Anderson next. He started on the road. He has a 2.19 ERA, and the Rockies are 5-0. Not have great numbers against the Giants historically, but he's still a very young pitcher. Looking to turn a new page against San Francisco today, and there's his arsenal. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of changeups and a lot of cutters.
Yeah, and against a strong right-handed lineup like the San Francisco Giants, who hit left-handed pitchers well, I expect him to work in hard to try and open up that outer half.
Maybe take a little page out of what Kyle Freeland did against right-handers the other day.
I think you have to, but again, this is a veteran team. Tyler's had a lot of success against younger, more aggressive teams because he feeds on their aggression. Against this team, he's going to have to live in the strike zone because they have those patient, good quality at-bats.
There's Gorkys Hernandez, who's hit first and eighth in this series. He's 3 for 9 overall. He does have a home run. So the veteran outfielder against Tyler Anderson, and Anderson's first pitch is swung on and popped up. Desmond and Valleca and Desmond battling the wind. I don't think it is as prominent as yesterday, but it is always a factor here in San Francisco. Here's the Southwest batting order for Bruce Bochy today. Buster Posey will bat second. Then it's Evan Longoria, Brandon Belt swinging the bat exceptionally well. Nick Hundley is batting fifth. Brandon Crawford hitting well over 400 in the month of May. Austin Jackson will bat seventh. Kelby Tomlinson eighth. And Ty Block, good hitting pitcher, despite whatever the numbers are this year, 1 for 20. First pitch strike to Posey.
Good hitting pitcher is an oxymoron.
There are a few. And Buster with a base hit that's going to roll all the way to the wall, and Posey is going to end up at third with a triple. Once it finds that gap, you can be Benji Molina, a former Giant, and you're going to get a triple.
Change up away from Buster Posey on the Subaru Supermo. And this is what makes Posey so good. He just takes his hits. He knows that they're opposite field, and it just sneaks right past Cargo into Triple's alley. He didn't even have to look at the third base coach. It was in his mind. He knew when the ball goes in that corner, you better get to third.
It's the first time he's ever gotten to say hello to Ron Wotus right after swinging the bat, unless he's cruising on by on a home run. Evan Longoria at the plate takes strike one. That's the first triple for Posey, to my point, since 2016.
Spilly and I were talking before the game. What makes Buster Posey so incredibly effective at the plate is the effort and lack thereof. He doesn't overswing. He goes up there with an intent to put the ball in play, put it in play hard, but he doesn't do too much. Yesterday against John Gray in 95, nice easy swing to the right side. Change up, nice easy swing to the right side.
Yeah, swing easier. Anderson ahead 0-2. You can get a punch out here on Longoria. Not going to happen. That is a great catch out there by Cuevas. That'll work as a sac fly, 1-0. That was a ball that dropped yesterday, more or less. That's a terrific play by Noel Cuevas, who's been a right fielder since he's come to the big leagues, but Cargo's out there today. He got a good jump, good read.
Got a great jump, and more importantly, he was aggressive to the ball. In that situation, coming between Charlie Blackmon and him, he definitely could have tried to pull up and see if Charlie was going to make the play, but he stays aggressive, keeps his eyes on the ball, times his jump well, and saves a hit.
But because Posey threw out a triple, a quick run for San Francisco. 0-1 on Brandon Belt. Now, I mentioned Sully taking a page from taking a page from Kyle Freeland the other day. Freeland gave up an early run and then shut the door on the Giants, and that's what Anderson hopes to do. 2 outs, Belt to first. Hundley coming up. Here's the defensive alignment for Colorado. It features Pat Valleca getting the start at second base. Cuevas, Blackmon, Cargo in the outfield. And the other three in the infield are familiar. Arnado, Story, Desmond with Ionetta doing the catching this afternoon.
Gotta be careful with Nick Hundley. Nick Hundley, 364 with 2 home runs against lefties this season.
And Nick's been much better against left-handed pitching. In fact, most of their lineup has been much better against left-handed pitching. Longoria falls in that category. We mentioned Hundley falling in that category. Austin Jackson falls in that category. Hundley hitting just 184 against righties, 364 against lefties. Second start in the series for the former Rocky. Nick hit 282 in a couple of seasons in a Rockies uniform. He's going to provide a steady hand behind the plate and in the clubhouse. Pro's pro, Nick Hundley. In the air to center field. That'll end the inning. A run for the Giants, a triple and a sac fly. In your hometown Toyota stores, by UC Health, live extraordinary, and by Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency.
You ever been out there, Drew?
Alcatraz, I've been there a couple times. Fun. You ever been on the night tour?
They lock you in the jail cells in the night tour. They turn it off. You can hear the sounds from San Francisco if the wind's blowing directly out there. I was too scared to do it.
You know, if you grew up in the 50s, there was a possibility that you would have resided there, right?
There's a great chance, yeah.
Here we go, top of the second inning. Trevor Story, Chris Iannetta, and Noel Cuevas against Ty Block. And the first pitch in there, a strike on Trevor. He's got the average at 240. 10 home runs, among the league leaders in RBIs with 33. He drove in a run yesterday in the 5th inning with a sharp single. Behind home plate, not directly, but actually behind Nick Hundley, is our home plate umpire, Chris Conroy. Chris Siegel at first, Brian O'Nora at second, C.B. Buckner at third. It was interesting today getting to the ballpark. Normally from the hotel, it's, 10, 12 minute ride. You see Trevor's out on his front side. But the world renowned, and I mean that seriously, citizens race, the Bay to Breakers race was this morning, and they always have, you know, close to 50,000 runners. They had over 40,000 sign up. A few years back, they had 110,000 runners in all kinds of costume and some without costume entirely. That was this morning. So it took on the bus 55 minutes to drive here. You were better off walking. And at one point, I thought, as slow as it was going, I thought they were going to tell everybody to get off the bus and you were going to see a major league team walking down the Embarcadero. High fly ball to right center field. And it's caught out there by Gorkis Hernandez.
For the Win is brought to you by Pizza Ranch. Pretty simple. It's a pretty simple formula. 4 score. Rockies are 16-8 when scoring 4 or more runs. I think the runs are in the lineup today, and it's if the Rockies take the right approach with tie block, if you can take a page out of the book of Buster Posey, put the ball in play opposite field. There are hits there today. Lots of them.
So far, we've seen a little bit bigger swings than we'd like.
Do you ever look in the on-deck circle and you're saying, man, that looks good. That looks good. And you get up there and you get, as you said, too big.
Comfortable collar.
Well, that's what, you know, that goes back to that 70s term, and that's what tie block tries to give you, a quick and efficient, comfortable collar. You felt great at the plate, and you look up and you're 0 for 4. Chris takes outside, 3 balls and a strike. He feasts on guys that are overly aggressive.
We love spending time in the booth next to us where Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Krukow are. And Kruko's seen a lot of pitchers come and go. And he looks at tie block. He said, that's a 15-year major league pitcher right there. He will pitch for 15 years in the big leagues, given that he has a feel for pitching, understands how to manipulate the strike zone, and the stuff plays.
Yeah, and Krukow would know, because Krukow had a long and distinguished major league career as a pitcher. There's Mike on the right, Kuip on the left. 3-2, ball 4. Good at bat for Iannetta. So with 1 out, the Rockies have their first base runner here in the 2nd inning. And that'll bring up Noel Cuevas. Well, Block helps himself out. When you look at the whole package, yeah, the stuff is not overwhelming. Really good athlete, will give you a good at bat, which, you know, factors in big time in the National League. And he could eventually be a swing guy. Work out of the bullpen some, spot start. There's a strike. Krukow in 124 big league games. Came up with the Cubs in '76. Career completed in '89. This is poked through the right side. That's a good little piece of hitting for Cuevas. Corey, that's not trying to do too much, right?
That is the approach that you have to have. And I think more important is now that we're watching Cuevas get these extended at-bats against lefties, he's not going anywhere. It's a professional at-bat. He has taken professional at-bats. That's a pitch down and away. That's off the plate. Punch it to right field. You know Posey's covering first, having to hold the base runner on. There are hits if you're willing to take it. Tie block is not striking anyone out today, Drew. Below 5 strikeouts per 9. There are hits on the field if you're willing to manipulate the barrel.
Now, Cargo had a huge hit to open up this series on Thursday night in the 12th inning, a 2-run single to break a 3-3 tie. The Rockies would win it 5-3. Did not start Friday or Saturday. 2 on, 1 out. Cargo the last couple of years has scuffled against lefties. But with those 2 RBIs the other day, Cargo joining the exclusive 700 Ribby Club in a Rockies uniform.
I actually like this matchup lefty for Cargo because he's down in the zone.
Well, this is a roller to third with a broken bat, and did they get him? No! Great hustle by Cuevas. Longoria was waiting for Tomlinson perhaps, and then readjusted, had to go to first, and Cargo getting up the line beat it. We're going to take a look at it inside the Giants clubhouse in their video room. If it holds, it's bases loaded, 1 out for Voleka.
This is one of those situations where Tomlinson was caught in between, didn't know if Crawford was going to go to the bag, and then was late getting there because Longo was already trying to make the throw. Fortunate for the Rockies, Cargo's busting down the line, trying to make sure he doesn't get doubled up, and he gets himself to first base, and I believe he gets himself a hit.
He gets a gift hit. There's no other way to score it.
Sweet.
And that is why in spring training, and they don't visit it much after that, with these new shifts the last several years, Voleka, that's not what you wanted to see. Voleka rolls into an easy double play, and the Rockies get nothing out of it. I was saying with these new shifts, the coverages change, and that confused Tomlinson. They didn't get hurt by it. Your thoughts, comments, photos, use Twitter and include the hashtag ToyotaTalk. 1-0 San Francisco. Brandon Crawford will lead it off in the second inning. That was a very disappointing finish, obviously, to that frame where the Rockies had a break and had the bases loaded, 1 out, and then 1 pitch later, you're out in the field. Curveball for a strike. Tyler Anderson ahead now 0-1 on Crawford, who's 2 for 6, including a home run against Tyler Anderson. He had 3 hits in the ball game yesterday. You just can't get him out. And in April, fellas, he hit 190. He's got a .449 batting average so far in the month of May. Hit it out against Brooks Pounders yesterday. Here's the 0-2. Like a changeup.
You notice that even with 2 strikes, Brandon Crawford's willing to choke up. And looking at the highlights just in the series, he's poking the baseball opposite field. Anderson gets him to chase. It's a good pitch by Tyler, slider down and away. But when you're in a good spot like Brandon Crawford is, you can tell they're willing to let the ball travel. That's a great pitch. But he did not take an over big swing right there. He was trying to just foul it off and get himself another pitch.
And we saw some of those at-bats with John Gray on the mound where they'd get 0-2 and they'd fight all the way back to 3-2, get themselves in an offensive count.
Austin Jackson with 1 out takes ball 1. Going back to the Voleka at bat. Got an off-speed pitch.
Change up first pitch.
Was that an approach? Was it execution from your standpoint? As this is going to sneak through the right side. Jackson with a 1-out single.
I think there's several factors at play, and Corey, you and I can have this discussion, is when you're a hitter at the bottom of the lineup, you're hitting 8th with the pitcher's spot on deck. You can't be too aggressive, especially given the situation that you have to understand Ty Block is looking to get you to roll over, getting you to chase, getting you to fish early in the count. He's not going to give you a cookie.
No, and I think when you walk up there in the 8-hole and you see the bases are loaded, you're wanting to do damage. And it's counterintuitive to what you actually need to do. You got to slow down. You know, a lot of great hitters in that situation would go up there and take a pitch because they want to see how you're going to approach pitching them. You know, in the 8-hole, you get a lot of off-speed pitches, with that pitcher hitting behind you.
And is it a little easier to take a strike when you know that from a stuff standpoint, a strikeout standpoint, it's easier to hit with 2 strikes against a guy like Block because
he's not going to
he's
strike
not
you
going to
out.
strike you out typically.
Correct, and more importantly, that changeup that Pat saw right there, is that a pitch he wants to hit? Is that a pitch he's going to accomplish what he's trying to accomplish? I don't think that's one you want to hit.
And it's a lot of information so quick that you have to be able to process it.
Tomlinson 0 for his last 10. Got a 2-0 count. He's hitting in the 8th spot in front of Ty Block.
And obviously it's a lot easier to say it from up here.
Well, I actually think both of us have a lot of experience doing exactly what he just did.
Yeah, we've grounded out first pitch,
Yep.
change up, bases loaded many times.
This is a base hit left center field. Somewhat similar pitchers today. Anderson has a little more giddy up. Certainly, he has the strikeout within him. But the approach first time through the lineup a lot quieter for the Giants than for what we've seen from the Rockies.
I think they
2-0 count. Tomlinson, he didn't get big there.
No, just using the big part of the field. Understanding that Tyler Anderson's trying to accomplish the same thing. He pitches with a similar repertoire. He's trying to make that soft contact, that weak contact, those ground balls, which he hasn't done as well this year. He's only at 36.9% when traditionally he's well over 45.
Block gets a great bunt down, and Nolan has to come and get it. Pitcher covers third. That's how the Rockies do that defensively with the bunt with runners at first and second. Every once in a while you'll see teams at different levels that have the catcher go down and cover third in that situation when the third baseman has to field it, but that's a perfect bunt by Block. He wanted to the third base side. So 2 outs, 2 runners in scoring position, and Anderson will try to get Gorkys Hernandez.
Yeah, and this is where the Giants have struggled this year. They're last in the National League with 2 outs and runners in scoring position at 186.
You know, in this ballpark, early in the game, already down 1 run. This is a big moment.
A year ago, Gorkys Hernandez was an out every time. This year, it's quieted his approach. He's already hit 3 home runs.
Ground ball deep in the hole. Jump throw to first. Safe. Boy, I thought with the stretch of Desmond and that wonderful throw by Story that they may have gotten him.
It's an unbelievable play from Trevor. Out of the reach of Nolan, backhand, quickly gathers and makes the jump throw, bounces it to Ian. I think they are going to get him. I think he's out at first.
Again, as soon as it touches leather, we're going to slow it down. Leather, we can't see the hand on that.
No, he's out.
He's out.
Oh, you know what? He's out. There's
out.
no question he's out.
Yeah.
Again, we talk about this all the time. You're faster.
Run through the bag.
Run through the bag. I mean,
Thank you for sliding.
Nolan just saw it on the big screen. He's kind of walking toward the dugout.
yeah, he's out.
Posey's taking his gloves off.
Yeah, he's out. That isn't, by review standards, that isn't even close. What a play by Story.
The Rockies are all running off the field.
What a play by Trevor Story. How many shortstops make that? One thing to field it, but to have the arm strength. Well done.
Currently 7 kids who grew up in Colorado pitching on a major league roster, and 4 of those are featured in today's game. Here's a look at all of them. Of course, we know Kyle Freeland with the Rockies. Then we got Ty Block on the mound starting today. Pierce Johnson out of relief. And then Mark Melanson as well. Now, all of these guys have a connection of all growing up in Colorado, but they also all watched that 07 run and really admired it by the Rockies. I was talking with Pierce Johnson, and he said he was at Game 4 of the World Series, and he still remembers that atmosphere, and it's what drives him to get back to the postseason now as a big leaguer.
Well, I think it's awesome to see the number of Colorado kids that are making their mark at every level of baseball. But here's the best league in the world. And you have 2 teams playing. You got 4 guys. Melanson's obviously, as Taylor says, on the DL. But you have 4 guys from the state of Colorado in the big leagues. And there's more coming. Anderson hits this in the air to shallow left. Belt, Crawford, Longoria. And the shortstop typically has the best angle. Crawford makes the play, 1 out.
I also think it's cool when you start thinking of how important a team getting to the playoffs is for a community, for a group of guys, especially if you're a young athlete and you're in that time frame where, you know, Rocktober is happening in 07 and Rocktober again in 2009. It just increases your level of passion for the game.
Yeah, interest always goes up in that scenario.
Charlie steps up. He poked a little fly ball at the left fielder Belt his first time. He's 0 for 13 against Ty Block. I don't think double-digit at bats. Is he 0 for 10 against anybody else in baseball? I wonder. And that's a hard hit ball, but it's right at the well-positioned Crawford. 2 outs. You know, I was talking to Kyle Freeland this afternoon about, you know, being from Colorado and the pride he takes, and the fact that I think so many kids, once the Rockies came aboard, there was a hometown team to root for. I know this for a fact: of the 3 major sports, you know, you include hockey, say 4 major sports, the state of Colorado turns out more high-level baseball players than any other sport. Ahead of football, certainly ahead of, you know, turning out major college basketball players. I've said this before, now you are seeing, and have for several years, big-time schools out of the SEC, the Pac-12, back east, the ACC, coming into the state of Colorado to recruit. You know, you're used to that growing up in Southern California, Spilly. So you know, you were from Western Pennsylvania. You came out to California to junior college and ended up ultimately going back east. Desmond hits it in the air to right. This will be an easy play for Hernandez, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Ty Block. Get back to that subject in a moment. 1-0, the Giants leading. Longoria, Bell, 2, 3, and 4 in the lineup. We're talking about Charlie being 0 for 13 now in his matchups with Ty Block. The only guy that he is 0 for against of any significance is the former Rocky Jolie Chassin, and that's 0 for 9. So, yeah, there's nobody else where he has double-digit at-bats where he doesn't have a hit against him. 1-0 on Posey. He scored the only run of this game, a 1-out triple in the first to Triples Alley, and now he's ahead 2-0 on Anderson. Anderson has dealt with traffic in both of the first 2 innings.
There's a handful of players currently in this generation that if they were to retire right now would be a Hall of Famer. Buster Posey's one of them. Mike Trout, one of them. Clayton Kershaw, one of them, especially if you're looking at in a 10-year window.
That's a strike also, 2-2. I agree with you.
Think about this. Buster Posey, 5-time All-Star, 3-time World Champ, 2012 MVP, 2016 Gold Glove, 4-time Silver Slugger, 2012 Batting Champ, 2010 Rookie of the Year, Hall of Famer. That's cool.
Yeah.
We're watching one right now.
Good pitch. Hook to Story. This will be a little easier than his last play. 1 out, and that'll bring up Longoria. He had a sac fly on an 0-2 pitch to left center field, in which Noel Cuevas made a gorgeous diving catch.
I kind of want to go back to the theme that Taylor was talking about with the guys coming out of Colorado and obviously the level of fandom that you have during that time frame when the team's going to the playoffs. Do you know how many future Buster Poseys are in this area?
Quite a few.
Because of the Giants, and because of him, and because of their run. We'll see some Buster Poseys in 5 years from now.
Yeah, but to your point, and again, this is your state. Typically great weather. You don't have to worry about indoor facilities. You don't have to, even kids here don't really have to worry about, not that they don't play travel ball.
The point is.
But the Giants have been here since, they've been here for well over 50 years. And in the case of the Rockies and the state of Colorado, it's a much shorter period of time. It's
sure.
a little, you know, we're celebrating 25 years, right? 26th season on the field. The same thing happened with the Avalanche. Pretty good hockey state now. And I give a lot of credit to, you know, the Avalanche. They came here from Quebec, and they have a lot of kids saying, man, I want to be the next Nathan McKinnon. And for the previous group, it was Peter Forsberg or Joe Sakic or Patrick Waugh. And in Colorado, a lot of talented baseball being played. Longoria with a 2-2 count. Shift on, 3 on the left side. Off-speed pitch misses, 3-2. With the win yesterday, the Giants snapped a 3-game losing streak. Giants are 13-10 at home. And a line shot right at Nolan. 2 outs. And that'll bring up Brandon Belt. He was hit by a pitch his first time up. Belt his last 8, hitting .424. Offensively, it's been Crawford, Belt, and Posey in the month of May. Mike Krukow had an interesting observation also about the Colorado pitchers that he knows. Obviously, he's got Melanson. We talked about Pierce Johnson, Ty Block, and guys he's come across in his career, going back to his playing days and now as a broadcaster. He said they're all the same guy. He said they have a toughness to them, a kind of a chip on their shoulder because of, he said, probably because of where they're from and the doubters around them, that he really likes the makeup by and large of Colorado players he's been around. 2-2.
Roy Halladay. Is that a good one?
That's a pretty good one right there. Kevin Gausman. He's having a solid year. He's got a 3.88 with a troubled Baltimore Orioles team right now. 2-2 on Belt. And a foul tip's held by Chris Iannetta. Strong inning from Anderson through the thick part of that Giant lineup. See if the Rockies bats can get going. It'll begin with Nolan in the 4th. 1-0 Giants. Subaru, love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By StubHub. Rockies fans, get your tickets at StubHub, the official partner of the Colorado Rockies. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. In the 4th inning, with the Giants ahead 1-0, it'll be Arenado, Story, and Iannetta against Ty Blach. As Billy mentioned earlier in the broadcast, that Blach, his last 2 outings, has not gotten past the 5th inning. And usually at 50 pitches and beyond is where guys start to figure him out a little bit. He's getting close to that area. Nolan lined to second his first time up. 7 for 12 against Blach. 5 for 14 overall in the series with 1 RBI. Ball and a strike.
To your point, when you're looking at Ty Blach, see the numbers after 76 pitches, opponents hitting 400. He averages 83 pitches per start.
This is up the middle with topspin, and it'll find center field. So a leadoff single in a 1-0 game for Nolan.
Those 83 pitches per start, 4th fewest in baseball. So they're pulling him out.
Yeah, 8 of his 10 starts he's got in the 80s in pitch total. One of them 62.
Center field and deep off the bat of Story. Take a good look. It's off the top of the wall. Had a chance to fly. Nolan's going to get a green light. Throw to the plate. Not going to get him. He'll score standing up. By Jackson's reaction, I thought he believed the ball was out of the ballpark. Story with a double, and we're even at 1. His 34th RBI. That was a laser.
It was. I'm wondering if Austin Jackson knew well enough that it was a deke, but for Trevor Story, he continues to have an OPS over 1,100 against lefties. He gets a changeup up out over the plate where he can extend his arms. It's basically a line drive, a 406-foot line drive. He hit it 106 miles per hour.
And he didn't overswing.
Didn't overswing.
Nope, that ball was blistered. Nobody out. Go ahead run at second, and Story. Iannetta takes inside, and it is called a strike. Guess he'll try to find some way to get, if not Trevor home, at least to third base at the conclusion of this AB. Blach does a good job holding runners. We always say this, lefties with runners at second base, much more difficult to hold them. Tomlinson backs away. Story extends the lead. 1-1. One of the other challenges, Billy, is that when you try to speed up your delivery and slide step, that type of thing, sometimes the arm drags.
It's the same with anything in baseball. Mechanically, your body has a natural rhythm and timing to it.
This is popped up, not very deep right field. Story's not going anywhere, and catch made by Hernandez. Now the possibility of a stolen base or an attempt would grow, as Iannetta was unable to move him 90 feet. Cuevas coming up. He had a base hit on a roller through the right side in the second.
And the Rockies have stole 11 consecutive bases without being caught. They've been fantastic this year, picking and choosing the right moments of when to go. Last year, they were awful at stealing bases.
Well, their next bag will be their 30th. They didn't pick off their 30th stolen base till July 3rd a year ago. There's a base hit to center field. Story's going to get a green light from Stu Cole. Here's the throw. It is cut off, and the Rockies take a 2-1 lead. Noel Cuevas, the club in his 10 starts, 6 and 4, He just keeps throwing out quality at bats, doing little things. Diving catch, couple hits today.
You know, we've talked about it where a young guy can come up and be a little bit overwhelmed by being in the big leagues. Noel has done an incredible job handling it. He gets a very similar changeup to Trevor Story out over the plate. Again, he doesn't overswing, uses the big part of the field. This, I think, was going to be a little closer than Buster Posey thought at the plate. I'm kind of glad he cut it off. Timing-wise, Trevor might have had to get down and make that one a little closer than it was. But a great job by Cuevas. He continues to have those professional at-bats you love to see.
Story drives one in and then scores the go-ahead run. Cargo at least looked as if he was going to attempt to bunt, and he had a pitch to bunt, but he pulled it back. Cargo hit a roller to Longoria. He ended up getting an infield hit. It was only because Tomlinson thought Crawford was going to cover second, and he hesitated, so Longoria had to then throw to first after the hesitation, and Cargo beat it. So the Rockies had the bases loaded, 1 out in that second inning, but Pat Valleca on the next pitch hit into a 5-3 double play. 1-1 on Carlos.
It's a great opportunity for the Rockies to either hit and run or steal a base. Even with Ty Block, Nick Hundley has yet to throw a base runner out this season.
That would have been a good pitch to go on in a perfect world, right? 2-1, way outside, breaking ball.
Problem with stealing off lefties is you're typically having to guess. As soon as he lifts his leg, you're making a conscious effort to go then.
And if the guy's a read guy and you take off, he's going to pick you.
Two and two on Gonzalez. Couldn't hold up there on a pitch inside. And a broken bat floater to Crawford, 2 outs. Pat Valleca coming up.
MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Rockies will be on that Bay Bridge later this afternoon, making their way to Oakland to head south to Los Angeles. Bay Bridge connected San Francisco to the East Bay. First pitch strike on Valleca. Well, if you were a betting man, I would have bet a lot of money that Pat wasn't going to swing at that first pitch, and he did.
And I think that's why it was a fastball out over the plate. They thought so as well. Doesn't even look like it was close to a strike in the Subaru strike zone.
After pitch 50 against Ty Block this year, the hard hit percentage doubles from 8% to 16%. That's pretty significant. It's typically where you're talking about the second time through the lineup. And this ball's hit pretty hard to deep left field. Belt going back, and he can't make the play. Over his head. Here's Cuevas around third. Throw to the plate is in time. It took a perfect relay to get him. It'll go as a double. The Rockies do get 2 in the inning to take a 2-1 lead. This is a great throw by Crawford.
but it could have been 3 runs had it not been for an excellent throw by Brandon Crawford. However, I'm going to point out a couple aspects of this play at the plate. When you're starting to look at the base runner, given the day and age that we are now, the catcher is not allowed to block home plate unless he has the ball. There is a lane. But if you're also looking at the route that Noel Cuevas, he chopped his steps around third base. That extra chopped step is the difference between being out and being safe. Corey actually believes you should just run straight through the plate and don't even slide.
Nick Hundley pops it up, middle of the diamond. Valleca makes the catch, 1 pitch, 1 out.
Yeah, I think when you have that lane at home now, which Cuevas did, he starts to slide. Hundley doesn't even have the ball yet. You can just go through the plate like it's first base. You're faster that way, and the catcher can't be there unless the throw pulls him into you, in which case you are allowed to run over the catcher.
And why don't you explain to folks, in that situation, Stu Cole's obviously waving him in, but it's really the decision of Cuevas because the ball's in front of him. Once Belt didn't make the catch, he's getting influence, obviously.
But he doesn't know how Belt picked it up,
sure,
how the transfer went, any of that. You're seeing Stu Cole wave you at that point. You're going on the instincts and you're taught never to slow down.
Because he clearly was going
right
at the bag as if he was going to be held at third, and that's why he had to chop his feet, right?
Well, I think that the angle that he was coming into the bag and which foot he was going to hit the bag with, unfortunately, is what slowed him down. He wanted to make sure he hit it with his right foot to cut a straight lane home.
Well, I'm going to show you another angle of something else that was interesting is as a base runner, you're looking for direction from your teammate. There is no teammate there to tell you to get down. That's Tyler Anderson should be there. Charlie Blackmon, who's 2 hitters away, has to run out to protect him.
Again, though, with the way catchers aren't allowed to block the plate, you used to be able to tell them slide left, slide right, which way you needed to get down. Nowadays, if they're there, you can run them over. And that's the only time you can. So if you're carrying that head of steam like you're going to run through home plate, right, you then have a choice to either hit them or run through the bag. And I think you'll typically be safe because you're faster. We see the hook slides where their feet are already past the plate and they're trying to touch it with their hands, and you get there faster by just running through it.
2 outs. Austin Jackson, who singled, is at the plate. But going back to the original thought, Brandon Crawford made a perfect throw.
It's a great relay.
Because if Nick Hundley has to reach, a foot to his right,
it was great,
which still would be a throw on line on his body, he's not going to be able to apply the tag.
There's certain aspects about baseball where it comes down to technique. The technique of rounding the base, the technique of throwing and hitting the cutoff man chest high so it can allow for the transfer, the technique of so many small aspects that we don't always pay attention to until you get a play like that, a bang-bang play at the plate where there was so much going on in that space.
It's interesting also about that play and how you describe it, Spilly, is that Brandon Belt looked like a first baseman playing left field on that play initially.
Terrible route.
But to your point a moment ago, he made a perfect relay throw.
Perfect relay throw.
And the ball one-hopped the wall and came straight into his glove. And when that happens, you get rid of it as quick as you can as an outfielder. You don't have to worry about overthrowing. You just try and hit the cutoff man, which he did.
2-2. Anderson has retired 6 in a row. Trying to get the Rockies back on offense quickly here. Talk about out front. Get those cupped bats. And that happens somewhat frequently. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Jackson. Swung on and missed. 3rd strikeout for Tyler Anderson. 7 in a row for Anderson. The Rockies have a 2-1 lead.
Talking about pitchers coming to Coors Field is a topic we often discuss, but what about Rockies pitchers who get used to pitching at altitude and then having to go elsewhere? That was something I talked to former Rocky and current Giants bullpen coach Matt Herges about. Is that challenging? And he said, yeah, there certainly is an element of challenge that goes along with it. That's why one routine that guys do is so important.
I think when you leave Coors Field, playing catch before the game is the most important part of your day. And that's what I told my guys in Oklahoma City last year is, listen, this is the most important part of your day. Even if you pitch, because this is where you're going to get your feel. This is where you're going to throw every pitch and see how it reacts. Your fastball's going to cut, your changeup's going to cut for sure, but know what it's going to do. And ultimately, knowing what the ball's going to do when it comes in your hand is necessary. It really is.
Now, we could talk about playing baseball at altitude and the challenges it presents all day long, so we just discussed the pitching element. Spilly, I want to know, as a hitter, was there something you guys had to do to adjust going on the road?
There's always things that you have to do on the road to adjust to hitting, and it just depends on where you're at. For hitters, it's not just about the altitude. It's about when you go on the road, what does the backdrop look like? What does the hitter's eye look like? What does the box feel like? And we do know, because the numbers played out, when you're on the road, a lot less fastballs. Pitchers come to Coors Field, throw more fastballs. So as a hitter, you have to be willing to hit off speed early.
Well, you remember last start, Tyler Anderson snapped an 0 for 33 at the plate.
So you're saying he's getting hot?
Getting hot. Got 2-game hitting streak going, Sully.
Got to start somewhere, right?
That's right.
If he were to get to 57 games, it'd take, what, 2 years?
In that neighborhood, yes. It's a possibility. Charlie wants to break the ice against Ty Block. 0 for 14 in his career against Ty Block. I said earlier, the only other guy he's got an 0 for against that's even close to this is Jolie Chassin. He's 0 for 9 against Chassin.
Usually if you're going to break a 0 for 14 streak against a pitcher, it's usually a loud hit.
Well, he's got loud hits in his repertoire. 3-1 for Charlie. Rockies with 7 hits now in a 2-1 ball game. They're in front. They had 4 hits, including a pair of doubles last inning, and now they have 2 on for Desmond and nobody out. Folks, when the Rockies score 7 in a game, you know the drill. Go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do it between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special with Moss at Taco Bell. So Nick Hundley going out. And we're going to get action now in the bullpen for San Francisco. Bounding out of the dugout was Corey Guerin. And there's Matt Hergis. Guys, your former teammate. Not a shock that he stayed in the game, is it?
Not even a little bit. He's another one of those guys that's kind of, you consider a baseball rat. It's in their DNA and always want to be a part of it. We had fun getting the opportunity to catch up, spend some time with him last year at the 10-year reunion.
One of my favorites, first time I ever saw a reliever do what he did, which was a slide step changeup. He loves saving it for big moments whether he's in a visiting ballpark and it was one of those big at-bats. He would slide step changeup and use the hitter's aggression against them. It was great.
Let's see what Desmond does here. First and second. The corners are back behind the bag by a step. Tried to hit a 3-run home run, which he's done in this series. Oh and 1. Two strikes. Pretty much eliminates the bunt possibility now. Desmond, a ground ball to short and a fly ball to right field. Anderson at second, Blackman at first.
Ty Block looking for a strikeout. He'll probably either come hard, up and in, change it down and away. Desmond had a pitch that he just missed. 91 up and away. Hundley wanted that pitch in.
Yeah, that was a significant miss by Block. In the cage this morning, Ian Desmond was working with Dwayne Espy, the Rockies hitting coach, with a tee on the inner half out front, working on turning on the baseball. Talked that these balls in the air to left field have been very infrequent for Desi. His 3-run home run, though, was on the pull side. Good take, 1 and 2.
You'll pull the baseball in the air when your legs are underneath you. When your bat path is within the strike zone. When it's through the zone, out in front. But that's all timing and legs.
1 out. That's the first strikeout for Block. That'll bring up Nolan. A line out and a single up the middle.
I'm going to say, like, I don't mind the strikeout there. You have Nolan hitting behind you. Anything on the ground might be a double play ball.
Yeah.
And now you have an opportunity for Nolan to hit with runners in scoring position. That first and second with no outs, you talk about all the time. It's one of the most difficult on a hitter. You either want to hit the ball in the air or strike out. And I know how that sounds, but you don't want to hit the ball on the ground.
That looked like it was well off the plate. Well off the Subaru strike zone. Not perfect. Should point that out. Doesn't mean that every pitch that you see outside the Subaru strike zone necessarily wasn't a strike. There is, you know, a slight margin of error. It looked like he was off it pretty well. 1-1.
You could tell by the reaction from Nolan too that he didn't like the call. So even if it wasn't that far off the strike zone, it was off enough that Nolan said, "That's not a strike."
Two and one. This guy's been the giant killer the last 4 years. The last guy that Bruce Bochy wants to see at the plate, trust me.
920 on base plus slugging at AT&T Ballpark for Nolan Arenado. Only Paul Goldschmidt has better numbers.
Couple that with Mr. Block just past pitch 75, where batting averages jumped to 400.
It's going to get loud.
Could be. Here's the 2-1. Toward the hole, that'll get through. Anderson's going to get a stop sign naturally from Stu Cole. And now the bases are loaded for Trevor Story. Speaking of guys who are in a good place right now, Trevor Story in the best place he's been in offensively all season long. And Boch is not going to allow this matchup. He's going to go and get the side-arming Corey Guerin. So Block, once again, that's 3 straight starts, Corey. He can't work past the 5th inning.
Yeah, and it seemed to be a little bit more of deeper counts, which is a good thing. That's what you want to see if you're the Rockies. It means they're seeing pitches, being more disciplined, and, you know, taking advantage of the opportunities that they had.
Back in a moment, bases loaded, 1 out.
Rockies Dugout Store. From tickets to merchandise, the Dugout Stores have all the bases covered all year long. Take another look at Trevor Story and what he did in the 3rd inning. 106-mile-an-hour double, the 4th inning. Put a dent in the wall, 406 feet away. Got another opportunity here with the bases loaded.
And he would score after that on a base hit by Noel Cuevas. Bases loaded, 1 out. Guerin in against Story. Second time the Rockies have seen Guerin in this series. The opposition, when you see a 271 average for a guy coming out of the bullpen, pretty high batting average against.
Guerin's not a high strikeout pitcher, even though you can see it's still 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. He is looking for ground ball contact.
That's down.
In this day and age, every bullpen arm is coming out, striking out 9.
Guerin gave up the 12th inning base hit to Cargo. And the 5-3 Rockies win on Thursday. Rockies up 2-1. Story trying to change that. He chased out of the zone there. 1-2. Last year, Story struck out at a rate of 34.4% of the time. This year, he was close to 40% in the month of April. Overall now, he's just a notch below 30%. He's done a much better job of getting the ball in play and spitting on borderline pitches. 1-2. Good job covering that pitch. Anderson singled. He's at third base. Blackman walked at second, and now Nolan, after the base hit, resides at first. Story over his last 12 ball games, hitting .326 with 3 home runs and 13 driven in.
Only switching up signs. Typically they don't. If you have a guy standing at second base for multiple pitches, they'll try to have a visual cue to switch up the signs so you don't have to run out there. But that one looks like Nick wanted to make sure they're on the same page. You do not want to get a cross up with 2 strikes with the batter with the bases loaded when you have an opportunity to get out.
Another 1-2. Story that time saying, I've seen that pitch now.
That was a good take right there.
Great take.
I mean, when you got a guy coming in throwing basically sidearm, it's difficult on a righty anyway. It's a difficult adjustment after a lefty. And to take that slider shows he's seeing the ball.
2-2. It's like facing a little bit, fellas, isn't it?
Sergio Romo. The starter?
The starter, Sergio Romo. He starts every day for Tampa.
Sergio Romo had the best slider I've ever seen because it had different speeds and there was no way he could pick up the spin.
3-2. Pressure on Gearin. Deep short. They're going to come home with it. It's not handled. Anderson scores. Blackman started to come to the plate, and it ricocheted back toward Hundley. That'll go, I'm sure, as a hit and an RBI for Story. It's 3-1 Colorado. Crawford felt his only play,
and he was right,
was to try to get the pitcher coming home.
And he was absolutely correct in trying to go to home plate. This is only Brandon Crawford could even try to attempt a play like that. Maybe it was throwing back to second base. You had no chance to get Trevor Story. He's too fast going to first. His best play was to try to throw out the pitcher at home.
Now Iannetta with 1 out. This is popped up. Blackman's going to tag, but Tomlinson squares up the body for the 2nd out. They have scored it, and it may change. I don't know how you can score at a fielder's choice right now, because that's saying that you could have gotten an out had you gone somewhere else. That's a base hit. He had no other play, because the easiest play typically is if the third baseman didn't vacate, he could get the force there. But Longoria's got to go after the baseball. Maybe they're saying he could have gotten the force at second. We'll see if that changes. For now, though, it's just an RBI for Story, not a hit. Cuevas with 2 outs and the bases loaded. He's 2 for 2. Drove in the second run of his career last inning. Two 2-0 on Cuevas. For Story, that's 26 ribbies in his last 26 games now.
That was a great at bat. It was a great at bat.
It's an at bat that wouldn't have taken place in April. It certainly wouldn't have taken place most of last year. We talk about the fact that his contact rate is going up, his strikeout percentage going down. As you guys described, there were two pitchers' pitches that he let go because he saw them off the plate. And then Gearin had to come in there. He got it in play, and it worked out. Rockies get the run. 3-1 they lead.
I want a double. We're in California. Double-double.
A double-double?
I'm with you. Now you're making me hungry. 3-1. It's pretty good at bat being put together by Cuevas, whose general demeanor is go, go, go. Yeah. Aggressive guy at the plate, right?
Yeah, and again,
young guy at the plate.
Young guy at the plate. You got an opportunity with three guys out there to do some damage. He's seeing the ball up. Gearin, a guy you know is going to sink the ball. He's making him get it up.
3-1. Ball 4. That forces in a run. It's 4-1. Charlie Blackmon will come home. And now Gearin's got to face the guy who burned him a few days ago, the left-handed hitting Carlos Gonzalez. Kurt Young's going to jog to the mound.
This is why we love AT&T Ballpark from the team approach, because this is not a place you can just drive the ball out of the yard. It's not. It doesn't play short. It forces you to have a team offensive approach. When you look at this inning, how it started, a pitcher getting a hit, Blackmon getting a hit.
Then the K from Desmond.
That's right.
Again, we were talking about how valuable that is sometimes when you got guys on first and second and no outs.
A hit from Nolan, a hit from Story, a walk. That's up and down the lineup.
I love what you're saying. I think you go into games here, games at Dodger Stadium. You know you're facing a high-quality opponent. You understand the ballpark now better than they ever have. There's a grind mentality from the first pitch. Here's Cargo. Well, behind in the count late Thursday night, 1-2 pitch, and Cargo lines it to right center field to drive in 2 with the bases loaded, and the Rockies would win it 5-3. Here's the 1-0. Could really make the rest of the afternoon uncomfortable for the Giants if you throw out a knock here. 4-1 Colorado. One and two. I think he's going to see the same pitch again. 2-2. Lefties have hit .444 against Corey Gearing. Bases full of Rockies. 2 runs in. 2-2 on Cargo. 3-2.
Seeing the baseball.
Cargo has a 13-game hitting streak against the Giants over the last 2 seasons, a .368 average. Everybody moving here. Strike 3. Rockies get a pair of runs. They have a 4-1 lead in the middle of the 5th. Here's our CenturyLink high-speed challenge question. Go to AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to cast your vote. We'll show you the results during the post-game show. What's your favorite feature of AT&T Ballpark if you've been here before? Or maybe if you just have viewed a number of games on television. McCovey Cove. We can tell you about the garlic fries here. They're really good. See how happy she is? She's got garlic fries.
Her breath smells.
It's okay. You're at the ballpark. The Seagulls just killing time till the 3-hour mark, and then they'll come in. 2-0 and 3-0 on Kelby Tomlinson. 7 in a row, actually 8 in a row retired by the Rocky starter Tyler Anderson, 28-year-old out of Las Vegas and then the University of Oregon. Miguel Gomez on deck in the pitcher's spot. Tomlinson takes strike 2.
This is a pretty important inning for Anderson. Rocks score 2 in the top half of the 5th. You got the bottom of the order plus a pinch hitter. It's an opportunity to get a quick inning, get back into the dugout, and give the Rockies a chance to hit some more.
Tomlinson a base hit his first time up. That's his first knock of the series. Snapped an 0 for 10. Tyler 0-2 in his career in 3 starts against the Giants. And this is in the air right at Charlie Blackmon, 1 out. So Gomez will pinch hit.
Looking for a unique venue for your next private event? Coors Field is available year-round for special events, and most areas of the ballpark can be reserved. Go to rockies.com/events for info.
Well, remember last inning that ball put in play to deep short off the bat of Trevor Story, and the wonderful attempt by Crawford to get the force at the plate. They scored at a fielder's choice. We thought it was a hit. They've changed it to a hit.
You're welcome, Trevor. I went and talked to the guy. I'll take credit for it.
That's the kind of guy Spilly is. 1 ball, 1 strike on Gomez. Will Smith threw in yesterday's ball game. He comes in. It looks like he's next. His 3rd appearance in this series. You know, the Rockies, in their history of coming to AT&T Park, you know, a lot of 3-game series naturally, but on the occasion they've played 4-game series. That's a base hit. The only time they've won a 4-game series here was last year in April. And when we say win a series, it doesn't mean a sweep. It means obviously
have more wins than they do.
Have more wins than they do. So at least 3. And the Rockies have a great chance at doing that this afternoon. Up 4-1, 1 out. Gomez at first, and Gorkys Hernandez will take his turn. Well, Trevor Story's driven in a couple of runs. He's 2 for 3 at the plate. Let's not forget this play he made to end the 3rd inning and take a run away from the Giants. I said 3rd inning, end the 2nd inning. One and one.
There's been several momentum shifting aspects to today's game. Bases loaded, Valleca grounding out, momentum shifted towards the Giants. Great play by Trevor Story in the hole to get out of that inning with the bases loaded.
Same deal yesterday on balls that you thought off the bat were going to be outs that ended up dropping.
Yep.
Rockies didn't execute in a couple situations fairly early where maybe they could have added on. And they end up losing going away. Giants pounded out 17 hits ultimately yesterday. They have been a better offensive club at home than they've been out on the road. And Hernandez went 2-2.
I like that Gorkys Hernandez is complaining that he didn't swing. I do know as a former hitter, you know as a former hitter, I don't mind the home plate umpire calling it, but I would prefer if it was never called by a home plate umpire, just deferred to the first base or third base umpire.
How about that one?
There you go, ask for it. You can live with it, players can live with it, thank you. They have a better angle. Cutter down and in, great pitch, great location, especially with 2 strikes. And Gorky's able to hold up. And it truly is a judgment call. It's not.
3-2. Center field, fairly well hit. Charlie leaps, it's gone. Hernandez with a 2-run home run to make it 4-3. That got caught up in the wind and floated out. 2nd home run for Hernandez in this series. And the Giants right back in the ballgame.
And now you hope Wish that he would have called it a check swing. Cutter that just stayed middle. Gorkys Hernandez, who had no home runs last year. It's his 4th home run of the season.
Off the bat, it looked like what was going to be a somewhat routine fly ball. And Charlie felt like it was. You're just watching how he was moving with the baseball, and he just kept floating back and back and back. 1-0 on Posey.
I think if you watch Charlie when he takes this break, you can see he still hasn't committed to going back on the ball. The wind's got a hold of it. He tries to recover either way. There's no way he's making a play on that ball.
And now it's 3-0 on Posey. And the game's turned in a hurry. You also think back to that 3-2 pitch on Cargo that he got frozen on. Chance to expand the lead. Deep short. And on the 3-0 pitch, Posey's retired. 2 outs. Now bring up Longoria. Inside of the Long Beach State product. He was close to being a Rocky when he was on the top of that first round in the '06 draft.
That was a pretty incredible '06 draft.
Yeah, the first 10 to 15 picks have some impressive names in it. Kershaw,
Lincecum, Scherzer, Longoria. Cuevas makes the catch.
Not an easy play.
No fun with the ball in the air today. 4-3 after the 2-run homer.
For All Copy News and Notes presented by All Copy. Mike Tauchman enjoying being an everyday player down there in AAA with the Isotopes. 25 games, he's hitting for average and power. 408 average, 8 home runs with 28 RBIs, and he had a 2-run homer game last night. That's what we like to see, or Rockies fans like to see out of Mike Tauchman, huh, Drew?
He had a great catch also last night in that game where he was swung over in right center field, ran all the way to deep left center field, made a diving catch. Good for Mike. He's playing really well down in Albuquerque. Pat Valaika against Will Smith. Valleca takes ball one. Rockies got to get right back on the horse offensively. Looked like they had a comfortable 4-1 lead. Anderson rolling along, and then that home run to center field with a man aboard for Hernandez. Now it's a one-run affair again. Anderson, or excuse me, Smith worked a scoreless inning yesterday. Worked a third of an inning in Thursday's ball game. Here's the numbers for Will Smith this year. ERA's good. Batting average against good.
Zeros?
One ball, two strikes. Yanked foul.
We'll try not to look ahead to tomorrow's games. Tomorrow's game against the Dodgers. The Dodgers just finished beating the Washington Nationals 7-2. They've turned it around in a hurry.
Of all places to go and get a sweep, you wouldn't think that would occur in Washington. Such a tough place to play. Talented team. Valleca hanging tough against Smith, who's coming off Tommy John surgery. He had missed the previous 13 months, including the month of April. That's why he had only 8 appearances coming into today. Justin Turner makes a huge difference in that lineup. Productivity wise, bringing life to that dugout.
When we talk about Justin Turner, he's got to be in the conversation of, if you have the game on the line, who's the guy that you least want to see come up to hit? Justin Turner has to be in the conversation of one of the top in baseball.
3-2. Well, the Rockies' third baseman is one of the last guys you want to face also.
Like him, Joey Votto.
I agree with you.
And just a week ago, the Dodgers were almost left for dead.
One out as Valleca strikes out. And it'll bring up Anderson.
Now batting number 44, Tyler Anderson.
The Rockies can take a lead behind Anderson into the late innings. Ottavino and McGee and Davis well rested now. Two strikes. Anderson, a base hit last inning to start a couple-run rally. 2 outs, that'll bring up Blackman. Charlie walked right after the base hit by Anderson. Both of those guys would score in the 5th. One strike pitch to Blackman with 2 outs. Rockies tied for the major league lead in road wins, 18-10. Last year, after 29 road games, the Rockies were 19-10. Colorado trying to match that today.
We pointed out that 4 runs, what kind of record the Rockies have. You're going to need more than 4 runs today.
Corey's theory, day games at AT&T. It's not just a theory, about 3 more runs per game typically. Strike 3. Smith comes on and strikes out the side. Rockies 4, Giants 3. We're going to the bottom of the 6th. Welcome back to San Francisco, where the Rockies lead the Giants 4-3. With Corey Sullivan, Ryan Spilborghs, and Taylor McGregor, I'm Drew Goodman. Rockies have won 2 of the first 3. Great AT&T ballpark crowd today of over 40,000, and that's a lead single for Brandon Belt. So the Giants have the tying run aboard. Second time Belt has reached. And Nick Hundley coming up.
Class A gains for Brandon Belt, has 15 hits and 34 at-bats. He's in a great spot. And a lot of these hits that he's getting, pitches are up in the zone. He's not driving it out. He's driving mistakes, but he's putting the ball in play.
Just shows the value of using that big part of the field for Belt, for any other hitter.
Hundley, a fly ball to center and a pop to second. First time the Giants had the leadoff man on today. Hundley got a fastball, swung through it. 0-1. Nick just 2 for his last 22 at the plate. So many years of Padre, playing for Buddy Black. One of the many products of the University of Arizona. School I believe you looked at.
I did. My father went there. My sister went there. I actually met Nick through a friend that was his roommate and teammate. His name's Chris Fry. Played in the minor leagues with the Colorado Rockies. I went to Chris's bachelor party at Lake of the Ozarks and got to hang out a little bit with Nick and Mark Melanson a few years back. Mark also from the U of A.
2 strikes, and that is pulled foul.
He'll take the long strike, but that is not a good two-strike pitch.
Francisco Liriano, a no-hitter in Seattle right now through 6. Been 3 already this season.
We're going to see a couple more this season, I believe.
Perhaps more than that. Bell at first, 0-2. And again, that's too good a pitch.
They're all center of the Subaru strike zone, and they're thigh high. Anything thigh high to belt high is going to get hit hard, no matter what the velocity is, no matter what the movement is. It's in the middle of where players train their swing. That's in the path. Don't throw it in the path.
Talking a little bit about how Tyler used to rely a little bit more on the ground ball. 2 years ago, he was over 50%. Last year, 45. This year, he's in the mid-30s. He's sticking to that. He's got 5 groundouts and 7 flyouts.
I do believe it's the reason for that is a lot more fastballs above the belt. He's far more aggressive with fastball.
We love a ground ball right here.
So the Rockies members of the bullpen starting to walk down. Brian Shaw.
Bruce Bochy looking on. Down the line, foul. Bruce Bochy, who's going to go to the Hall of Fame as a manager, 3 world championships. Backup catcher most of his big league career. He had some moments in the sun. One in particular we were talking about the other day by the cage. He hit a walk-off home run against Nolan Ryan. And Bochy, as I'm sure you realize, has a big noggin. And he's taken good-natured heat for that throughout his career. He had it literally an 8 helmet. And he would take that helmet with him from stop to stop in professional baseball. Swung on and missed. 1 out. And he just had it repainted. Whatever the appropriate colors were, right? Well, he hits the walk-off home run against Nolan Ryan. And after doing an interview, he comes in and his teammates had put a 6-pack of beer on ice in his size 8 helmet waiting for him in the clubhouse. He also said the next day, and he had caught Ryan in the past, they were teammates, they were good friends. Next day, he saw Nolan, or maybe the next time he saw Nolan, buzzed the tower.
Give him a bow tie.
Crawford, apparently held up. Crawford a strikeout and a ground ball to second.
Well, looking at Brian Shaw getting warmed up in the Rockies bullpen leads me to believe that this is the last batter for Tyler Anderson. Austin Jackson on deck.
And you wonder about, everything that goes into a managerial decision. Last inning, Anderson was hitting second, came up with nobody on and 1 out. And the reason being, and I'm guessing here, is that he wanted him to face at least the first 3 this inning, knowing that 2 were lefties, 2 really good hitters in Belt and Crawford. Well, Belt got a base hit. He struck out Hundley. And now Now he's going to try to get Crawford. He's the hottest hitter in baseball in the month of May. Two and 0.
So you have to play this game at home, which is what Bud and Bruce Bochy are doing. They're thinking, all right, let's assume that Crawford gets on or he gets out. Go to the pitching change. Brian Shaw, most likely they'll counter with who? Pablo Sandoval or Gregor Blanco?
There was some dip in that swing. Crawford was thinking, hook that thing into the cove. 2-1 on Crawford. He does have a home run in this series. 4 home runs overall this year. Three and 1.
As I'm looking at the scoreboard, it makes sense. All right, let's say you get Crawford out, pinch hit. Here comes Shaw. Pablo Sandoval hits in this spot. Now you put Andrew McCutcheon in the pitcher spot for the next inning. There's your replacement. You have another hitter coming up. And these are all moves that you're playing in real time.
Missed, and now you have 2 on. Well, the one thing we should point out, I'm not sure about McCutcheon. He left yesterday's game with a bruised knee. They didn't think it was serious, so he very well may be in play today. You'd think he could pinch hit, but would they double switch and put him in the outfield? That is an unknown right now. What is unknown is that they're 2 on with 1 out in a 1-run game. Buddy Black's going to take the baseball, and he's going to hand it to Brian Shaw. Rarely is it comfortable at AT&T Park. Baseball on AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Kind of like the name of that boat.
I think I'm going to do the rest of the game remotely.
We may have company. Austin Jackson's going to hit, and Brian Shaw is aboard. Brian, in this series, has been outstanding. He's faced 7 hitters, fellas. He struck out 5. Tying run at second in Belt. Go-ahead run at first in the 6th inning in Crawford. Jackson is 1 for 2. That's one thing Brian's doing more of lately. Throwing strike 1.
Trusting the movement of the cutter versus trying to create the movement of the cutter. Letting the natural movement take over. Find the strike zone.
Yeah, and he is completely natural. He does not, manipulate the baseball. He just, the way he throws, he has a natural cutter from his arm slot. One ball, 1 strike.
Brian Shaw leads Major League Baseball with 26 games. He's also tied for second in holds with 10. Austin Jackson is 4 for 10 against Brian Shaw in his career.
Ball and 2 strikes. Smell those garlic fries now?
I do. Did you do something?
No, they just, somebody must have bought some and walked right in front of our broadcast position. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pop fly, right center field. Cargo and Charlie, and Blackman will make the catch. 2 outs. One of the cool things about AT&T Park, and there are many, is that we're just, you know, about 10 feet above the concourse there.
So here's Corey's face.
I'm going to try and find the garlic fries.
There, have you had them before?
Janice loves
you'll
to
have
be on
bad
top.
breath for a month, but
I have not had them before.
You'll enjoy eating them.
It's all right. You're sitting next to me on the plane, so.
Yeah, true.
Oh, Dougie is actually half out of his chair just waiting for one of us to say, can we have them?
Right. Kelby Tomlinson. If Tomlinson were to reach, there is Panda. One strike from Shaw.
Jinx it.
No more no.
We jinx it.
Two and one. Rockies have had a lot of opportunities, done a good job. 4 out of 9 with runners in scoring position. Shaw's trying to make the Giants 0 for 3. Two-1, well hit left center field. Belt has scored. Crawford coming home. He'll score. And the Giants on the triple by Tomlinson take a 5-4 lead.
On a Subaru Supermo cutter that just stayed in the middle. Tomlinson short to the baseball. Puts it right in between Cuevas and Blackman. And even if Cuevas was to field it clean up along the wall, there's no way that they're going to be able to throw out Brandon Crawford for first base.
Rockies 4-1 lead completely gone. It's 5-4 San Francisco. All 5 of those runs charged to Tyler Anderson. Tyler will have to wait for a future date to beat the Giants. 4 starts against San Francisco, still without a victory against him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Big old swing. Desmond's got it, and that'll end the inning, but damage done. 2-run triple with 2 outs from Kelby Tomlinson, and the Rockies trail 5-4 going to the 7th.
Faced Bruce Bochy in the same division. So I was asking Buddy about his relationship with Bruce today, and he says he has a lot of respect for what this guy does in game.
As far as an in-game strategist, Boch is one of the best, if not the best. I think he does a great job of running a game. You know, that's one thing that I really noticed right off the bat.
You guys were talking about it earlier, those 3 World Series championships, so clearly he's very good at what he does, and it has paid dividends for him, Drew.
Yeah, he's a legend now, and he also, in terms of tenure, second only to Mike Scioscia's 19 years with the Angels. Good man, steady hand too. You know what you're going to get each and every day. 22nd appearance for Dyson. The Rockies have to rally, down by a run. 1-1 count on Ian Desmond. 2, 3, and 4 for the Rockies. Arenado's on deck. Story, who's driven in 2, will bat 3rd this inning. Here's a managerial list. In terms of tenure, Ned Yost now 9 years in Kansas City. Buck Showalter in Baltimore for 9. Clint Hurdle. Wow, it's been 8 years now since Clint took over the Pirates. John Gibbons is on there, 2 different stints with Toronto. Desmond's 0 for 3.
One of the things I found interesting that Hergis was talking to us about the other day involving Bruce Bochy is he said if something happens and it falls under your area of expertise as one of his coaches, he'll let you know. He's not afraid to jump all over you and clean it up.
Well, they made a couple of changes to Boch's coaching staff last year, and I say they because sometimes these things happen from above. Dave Righetti, his very close friend and longtime pitching coach, now a special assistant. Mark Gardner is no longer running the bullpen. Matt Hergis obviously is. Ron Wotus goes from the dugout to third base. Bam Bam, Hemsley Mullins, he's going to be a manager one day. He goes from being the hitting coach to the bench coach. Bam Bam, and Alonzo Powell was hired to be the hitting coach. 3-2. Ball 4. So the Rockies get the tying run on. Desmond will jog down to first. And here comes Nolan.
It's always important to punch back after the other team takes the momentum and takes the lead. Golden opportunity for the Rockies. You have to make a leadoff walk, come back to bite them.
Sometimes you have a sense of how a game's going in the middle innings. And when it was 4-1 Colorado, you said for public consumption, you didn't think 4 was the winning number.
Just have a feel with certain games and certain day games in San Francisco, it takes more than 4 runs to win. Night game, usually 4 runs will stand.
4 runs, 9 hits for the Rockies, no errors. 5 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Giants. Rockies were up 4-1, and Gorkys Hernandez hit a wind-aided home run to center. 2-run shot. And then Tomlinson's 2-run triple with 2 outs. Way outside. That had Hundley scrambling. This is the thick part of the Rockies lineup. Arenado, he's been on twice. Story's been on twice with hits and driven in 2. He is on deck. Big jump, and Hundley's not going to get him. He throws it into center field. And on his way to third is Ian Desmond. And that's 12 straight stolen bases in the month of May for the Rockies. Tying run with nobody out, 90 feet away.
I mentioned earlier, Nick Hundley has yet to throw a base runner out this season. It's now 0 for 14. High leg kick for Dyson, never looks back. That's on his own. Quickly keeping your eye on where the baseball is. Understanding that extra 90 feet so important because it changes the entire dynamic of Nolan's at bat and how the Giants will attack the Rockies.
1-1. Well, you said a couple innings ago, you're talking about how the Dodgers have played well all of a sudden in Washington. Rockies getting ready to take them on at Dodger Stadium tomorrow. And it's coincided with the return of Justin Turner, who had the broken wrist. And he said there's very few guys in baseball in an RBI situation you'd want up ahead of Justin Turner. Well, on that list, perhaps, is number 28. Chance for the Rockies to get even. 1-2 on Nolan. 2 hits today. That was close. 2-2.
Nolan probably got that pitch because of the reputation he's earned. Corey Sullivan's not getting that pitch.
No comment.
Because you know it's true.
Oh, 100%.
Maybe you walk into the dugout.
Yeah. And complaining the whole way.
Great speed at third. 2-2 on Nolan. Top of 7. Go back to when Nolan in pro ball was in the Cal League, and he was the Cal League Player of the Year. He just sniffs out ribbies. Drove in 120 in the Cal League.
And the Giants are conceding. Infield's way back. Ground out is an RBI. You're going to have a tie game if he puts the ball in play.
3-2. Couple borderline pitches. On your mind, you're saying win this at bat. 3-2 on Arenado. He will. Up the middle, base hit, tie ball game. Third hit of the game for Arenado. RBI number 25. How good is Nolan Arenado?
He's the best. It's not even a question. Nolan was just trying to put the ball in play, hitting the ball up the middle on the ground because he knew that it gets the job done. It's a short swing, two-seam fastball. It runs back out. His intent was to hit a ground ball up the middle. You can tell by the swing. Team at bat for Nolan gets rewarded with the base hit.
And let us not, as Trevor Story comes up, forget that this was all set up by a high-quality walk when he was initially behind Ian Desmond. And then, I mean, it's very easy to criticize Ian Desmond this year, as poor as the average has been. He earns a walk, and his other attributes that he brings to the yard every day come out. Speed being one of them, forcing a bad throw, and all of a sudden he's on third base, and now the Rockies are even. Called strike on Story at the bottom of the zone. RBI double in the fourth off the top of the center field wall. RBI infield hit in the fifth. Nolan takes off. The throw to second's not going to get him. The sneak attack stolen bases, I like to call it.
And he was moving well before Dyson even threw the ball home. Just understanding that Dyson wasn't paying attention. Watch his feet move, timed it perfectly. No chance for Nick Hundley. That's not on Nick.
The Rockies have done a 180 from a year ago in terms of their aggressiveness and their success stealing bases and really overall on the base paths for the most part. You know, you're going to have some mishaps here and there. 1 and 2. You know, Parr getting thrown out at third, probably not a good play the other day, the third out. But when you emphasize something and then you see success immediately paying dividends, as the Rockies emphasized it during the 6 weeks of spring training, and so far the first couple of months of the season, they've been a much better team on the base paths. Story's gone, 1 out, and that'll bring up Iannetta. A walk, fly ball to right, and a pop to second for Chris. This is the spot in the lineup that you want to see really pick up as the summer approaches. The 5-hole. Clearly that whole portion of the second half of the lineup. Oh, 0-1. In this series, they've gotten better productivity out of the bottom half. In their 5-3 win in 12 innings on Thursday. 4 runs scored from the 5-hole on down. When they won 6-1 on Friday, got a 3-run home run from Desmond out of the 6th spot. Go ahead run at second in Arenado. Strike 2. Right center field. Wynn's got this a little bit, but it's going to be tracked down out there by Jackson. Nolan will tag and move to third. And that'll bring up Noel Cuevas.
Great note that Doug just handed me. Rockies are 5 for 12 with runners in scoring position today, but it's also the first time this year they've had 3 or more hits with runners in scoring position in 4 consecutive games.
Tony Watson getting loose, one would presume, for Carlos Gonzalez if Cuevas can come through with 2 outs. Two for 2 and a walk with the bases loaded. 2 runs driven in for Cuevas. On the outer edge, 1 ball, 1 strike. With Nolan's base hit, the Rockies in double digits in hits with 10. One to Cuevas. Dyson, a product of the University of South Carolina. Rockies get even on the Nolan base hit after Desmond stole second and moved to third on the throwing error by Nick Hundley. 5-5. Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Papa John's, use code ROCKSWIN for 50% off pizzas at papajohns.com the next day. Rockies 5, Giants 5. As we embark on the bottom of the 7th inning, it'll be the top of the order for the Giants. Hernandez, Posey, and Longoria. And Brian Shaw remains out there. He gave up the 2-run triple to Kelby Tomlinson in the 6th.
So you need the shutdown inning. So you need the Rockies get back in the dugout, try to have a quick, efficient inning. You're gonna have to go through a significant portion of this Giants lineup, and they have not quit at all today.
You got to do a good job keeping the fans out of it. Don't let them get any energy. We've seen some momentum swings both directions. This is one where you'd like to see a 7 to 9 pitch inning, 3 quick outs, and the Rock's back at the plate.
First pitch to Hernandez is going to be a base hit. He's had a big series against the Rockies.
He really has. He was a player last year with the Giants that was forced to play because of injuries.
Buster Posey.
Posey looking to do damage with that last swing, a little bit out of his normal effort level.
Triplin scored a run in the first, 2 ground balls to Story since. You know those two. They both worked a pair of scoreless innings on Thursday night. So they're refreshed. On the corner. Posey staring out there, but Chris Conroy, the emphatic call. 1-2.
It's a 200-point swing with that call. That's why Buster's shaking his head, taking his time.
Blackman makes the catch. Posey retired. That'll bring up Longoria.
Download the MLB Ballpark app, the official app of Coors Field, to purchase and access digital tickets, upgrade your seat, and play Pick 3 every home game for your chance to win prizes.
Longoria sac fly in the first, a line out to third, and a fly ball to left.
Off the bat, we heard it break, and we were surprised that Longoria wasn't going to get new wood.
I don't think he realized it, and then he finally saw it.
It would have been great if he'd continued the at-bat with a broken bat. Now, I think people are curious, what would happen if a guy swings a broken bat? Well, if you square it up, the bat will shatter, and it won't get the same.
Especially with Ash, because he swings Ash, he doesn't swing maple. You can get away with having a little hairline fracture in a maple bat. I think
or the bat fracturing altogether and still hitting it 400 feet like we've
Bryce
seen
Harper?
Bryce Harper do.
Again, his was maple, and I suspect he had one of those hairline fractures, because when you barrel a ball with that fracture, it'll just shatter it. but you can still hit it like it's normal.
Hernandez takes off, and it is fouled straight back.
I'm glad that Longoria fouled the pitch straight back. Gorkis would have a very easy stolen base.
Makes you think it might have been a hit and run?
No.
No?
I don't think they're giving Longoria a hit and run.
One, two, 2-2. Hernandez going again. Desmond, Iannetta, Steve Smith in row 2.
Nice play, Steve.
So as I was saying, last night, so we go to this place, and I've never been there before, and I heard good things about it. And as Steve continued his conversation with his friends after hitting the baseball, he was being nonchalant. You guys were staring at me like, what am I talking about again?
I was waiting for the story.
Yeah. That's all I had on it.
I was like, what did Spilly do last night?
We don't want to go there. Two and two. I just keep coming back to something we were discussing on Thursday, the fact that because of the schedule anomaly that the Rockies hadn't played the Giants or the Dodgers yet, and that 32% of the remaining schedule, that was on Thursday, was going to be against either the Giants or the Dodgers. And you guys know, strike three, no, that was right there. 3-2. Now you know Hernandez will be moving again. But you guys played in so many of these. Not that you don't have the intensity when you play the Marlins or the Braves, but it's different, isn't it?
It is. Anytime you're playing either of those teams, there's an energy, there's a will to want to win, to beat a division rival.
Ball 4. Now Shaw has 2 men on with Brandon Belt coming up. You've got to figure McGee's going to get Belt. Here comes Buddy. Five, bottom of 7, 2 on, 1 out. The Giants got a base hit from Hernandez leading off. Posey hit a fly ball to center, and then Longoria worked out a walk against Brian Shaw. So now Jake McGee will have to face Brandon Belt. He's 1 for 2, and he was hit by a pitch. Jake, again, 2 strong innings on Thursday. And a breaking ball misses. Rockies trailed 1-0 early. Took a 2-1 lead in the 4th. And then in the top of the 5th, scored 2 more to take a 4-1 lead. Then Hernandez hit a 2-run home run, 4-3. Tomlinson a 2-run triple the next inning, and this ball's crushed. Brandon Belt, 3-run home run. His 5th home run in his last 6 starts. 8-5 San Francisco. That didn't go well.
He's just in such a great place at the plate right now. Brandon Belt, OPS over the last really 9 games at about 1,500. Closest thing to Barry Bonds in a short period of time. And the Subaru Supermo gets a fastball that he can handle, and he knew it right off the bat.
Last 7 games for Brandon Belt. 484 average, 5 home runs, 11 driven in. And that may have been the biggest blow of all of them. 3-run shot here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
That's 7 runs the Giants have scored in the last 3 innings. You could feel the momentum boiling over for the Giants. They just continue to push forward. Take some quality at bats.
Well, the bullpen earlier in the week had a shutout string going to more than 10 innings. Been a tough afternoon for the pen. Brian Shaw was so good earlier in the week and earlier in the series. An inning of work charged with a couple runs, couple of hits, and a walk. Called strike on Hundley. He's going to have to pick up his bat. You hate to blow 3-run leads wherever you are, but especially out here. And I know, again, you guys have talked about it, plays a little bit different during the afternoon. It's still a pitcher's park. And the strength of the Rockies team is when they hand it off to that bullpen.
Yeah, again, though, the games are so often tightly contested here that even when you have a 3-run lead, as Philly was saying, you can feel everything start to change and start to work in the Giants' favor. When you're the Rockies, you've got to find a way to counter that.
Look at Nolan, just in case. Perfect.
Just think about the big momentum shift that happened when Gorkys Hernandez hits a wind-aided ball out to center. Gorkys again in the middle of it to start off the 7th inning with the leadoff hit.
And as big as that home run was from Belt, I still think that the biggest hit of the game was the one you just described. Because the Rockies had all the momentum. It's 4-1. Anderson was rolling at that point. It looked like a fly ball to center field. Listen, wind aided or not, the ball ended up going well over 400 feet.
Hey, he's playing the best in his career right now. Not Brandon Belt, Corky Hernandez.
Well, Belt may be also. This ball's hit to deep left field. This ball's going to get out. Number 5 for Hundley, and all of a sudden it's 9-5. What has happened?
Supermo fastball, and it's starting to play now for Jake McGee. We've noticed that fastball velocity for Jake is dipped down pretty significantly. He's down to 92 miles an hour. That pitched 94, but you're not seeing the 95s, 96s, 97s that we're regularly accustomed to seeing from Jake.
That's a base hit for Crawford. McGee has come out of the pen, giving up home run single. Steve Foster going out with Austin Jackson coming up.
Coors Field has something for everyone and every budget. Go to Rockies.com/suites for information on individual game day suites and party facilities.
Harrison Musgrave.
Now batting for the Giants, number 16, Austin Jackson.
Yeah, there's so much more baseball left to be played naturally in 2018. This is the 47th game after all the year, just a little bit past the quarter post. And Jake has him picked off. That'll be a caught stealing. 1-3-6. Second out of the inning as Crawford's got it. But you just look at this division. Giants obviously are better than they were last year. It's not hard to do. The Dodgers still be heard from. Arizona, even with the injuries to their pitching staff, in a rough 10 days. This is going to be a fist fight for the next 4 months.
You were saying they've got 32% of their schedule remaining against two of those teams that are going to be putting up a fight. And we've been mentioning that if one of those teams were to go on a 25-5 run or a 23-7, anything like that, they're going to build themselves a pretty significant lead in the division.
Story. This time. You hit the ball to the left side against the Rockies, you just hold your breath. You can't assume anything. Usually you assume the guy's out. Even if you're saying off the bat, well, that's a hit. And if Trevor gets up with and is able to make the transition cleanly, he may have thrown him out. Jackson doesn't run like he used to. Rockies are going to double switch. Musgrave will come in for McGee. Brooks Pounders returns to his roots and recalls his time with two current teammates long before they were big leaguers. And Nolan is back by the bay where he loves to play. That, and as they say, more on the club this afternoon. Rockies up 4-1. Last inning, they were down 5-4 when they came up, tied the game at 5, and now they find themselves down 9-5. Harrison Musgrave will try to get that final out here in the 7th inning with Austin Jackson at first. Kelby Tomlinson, a 2-run triple in the 6th inning. So has an earlier base hit, strike one. So McGee faced 4 hitters. They all got a hit against him. He gets credited with a third of an inning because of the pickoff. Gave up 2 home runs.
Well, it's a little bit concerning watching Jake McGee the last couple of outings. Given he did pitch extremely well through 2 innings, but the velocity for me, having it being down, location has to be paramount. There's not a lot of movement to Jake McGee, and those pitches cannot be in the middle part of the plate. Just not right now. If the fastball is going to show up in June at 96, 97, okay.
That's where his curveball has got to come more into play than at any point in his career. It's a pitch he rarely used in the past, but you'll see it a little bit more. But that's got to be a factor pitch now for him. Yeah, I was talking to Jake the other day, and he's less worried about velocity, and though he doesn't necessarily read all of the spin rate data outing to outing, he felt like in his last outing, that is just foul. In his last outing, just to talking to the guys who've caught him, the spin rate was up and there was more life through the zone, where it stayed on plane longer, even if it still was, 93.
More carry.
Talk about the difficulty for a starter when he has a bad outing. You got to wait several days. You have a bad outing as a reliever. This ball's foul. You may not have to wait as long, but doesn't make it much easier.
Nope. And some of the numbers that will improve over time, but it's a number that is pretty staggering for the Rockies given how we've looked at it as a bullpen of strength. Last 62 inherited runners, 28 of them have come around to score. That's a 45% inherited runners to score rate, which is last in the National League.
It's an underrated stat that is very telling at times. David Dahl came in left field in the double switch. He makes the catch. Rockies, as they come up in the 8th inning, are down by 4 runs, 9-5. Cargo will lead it off. Anderson and Block, the two left-handers. Neither one will factor in the decision. Anderson got it rolling for a while and gave up that home run to Gorky's Hernandez. He ends up getting charged for 5 runs. He got painted up a little bit. Ty Block was good the first couple innings, and the Rockies got after him. It's been on the bullpen since the middle frames, and the Rockies find themselves down 9-5 as they hit the top of the 8th inning. And the last lefty in the bullpen, former late inning specialist with the Pirates, with the Dodgers a bit last year, Tony Watson. Cargo is 1 for 3. And there's a strike. Tony Watson's stuff has backed up quite a bit. I mean, he was a guy that was in the mid to upper 90s with a hard slider. His velocity, not what it was. 0-1. Right out in front of the plate. Posey comes and gets it. It's a hard play for a catcher typically. But the corner infielders can't get there. And of course, pitchers are not allowed. It's a major league rule. They're not allowed to catch pop-ups. 1 out. Some changes for the Giants. Obviously, Posey's now behind the plate. Hundley has come out. Belt moves from left field to first base, and Blanco goes into left field. One strike on Valleca. Little things in this game. Remember the double that Valleca had in the 4th inning and the great throw by Crawford to cut down Cuevas. Otherwise, at the time, it would have been a 3-1 game.
This game is a great example of momentum and how it can switch in certain plays. And when you're not doing the little things, or something ends up popping up, cutting the corner on base running, or missing a cutoff or leadoff walk, all these things start to add up over the course of a game. And when it's here at AT&T Ballpark, they get exposed.
It seems to be amplified.
This is hit the shallow center and it'll drop. A broken bat single for Valleca with 1 out. And that'll bring up David Dahl for the first time.
Now batting number 26, David Dahl.
Who Wants Tacos fans, follow us at AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies Taco Special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs in a game. One on Dahl. David started yesterday, 1 for 4. 0 for 4 in his start on Friday.
Start on Friday, he took quality passes throughout the game.
That 91 from Watson again. That used to be 96, 97. I remember watching him when he was with the Pirates 2-3 years ago, and you're like, wow.
Also seems like his arm angle's gotten a little bit lower.
It's going to turn into a Javi Lopez type pitcher.
Yeah, maybe he's dropped down a little bit with the decrease in velocity, trying to create some deception.
A little bit of movement too when you're down there.
Two and two. Two outs. Blackman will be next. Fly ball to left field, a line drive to short, a walk and a run scored. And he was caught looking in the sixth. He's 0 for 3. He has got to be fixing to get hot. It's unusual to see his batting average at 264. Couple hits yesterday. Home run on Friday night. And a base hit here. Goleka to second. And that'll bring up Desmond.
Let's see how interesting the Rockies can make the final 4 outs of tonight's game.
I know this. Desi gets a knock here. You got Nolan up with an opportunity that could potentially tie the game. Things could get interesting.
And that's why Strickland is starting to march down to the Giants bullpen. He's going to have to fire in a hurry. If Boch wants that matchup. And you got to believe that's the matchup he wants.
I don't think Boch wants any matchup with Nolan.
Exactly. But if he comes up, Nolan does, with a chance to tie the game, and he's facing the left-hander. 2 strikes on Desmond. Here's the 0-2. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th, 9-5 San Francisco. point 4-1. Bottom of the 8th inning for San Francisco. It'll be Gregor Blanco, Gorkys Hernandez, one of the hitting stars, and Buster Posey. Harrison Musgrave got the final out of the 7th inning, getting Kelby Tomlinson to lift a fly ball to left field. It was a 4-run 7th inning. The game was tied at 5. Jake McGee came in to face Brandon Belt with 2 aboard, and Belt promptly hit a 3-run home run. And then Nick Hundley followed that up with a home run. Ball 1 on Blanco. Rockies 10-8 in the division. This is game 6 of a 9-game road trip. If they can't come back, they'll fall to 500 on the trip, 3-3. Blanco's first at bat just came in to play left field. Two balls, 2 strikes. Got him. Good pitch from Musgrave. Musgrave down in Albuquerque this year, and Taylor earlier in the ball game was telling you about Mike Tauchman and how well he's been swinging the bat. 436 over his last 10 games. You know who was back in action on the hill yesterday? One of the top prospects for the Rockies, Yency Almonte, and he went 4 1/3, allowed a run on just 2 hits, struck out 5, walked only 1. Real good report on his outing. Strike on Hernandez. Hernandez with a couple home runs in this series. He has 4 on the young season. The 4 already a career high. Cargo makes the catch, 2 outs. 2 outs and Buster Posey will come up. A triple back in the first, 1 for 4. Rockies in the 9th, they'll have Arenado, Story, Iannetta, they'll need others.
Hunter Strickland will be the Giants' closer. He's 9 out of 11 saves.
Well, they get a day off tomorrow as they begin an 8-game road trip. The end of the 8-game trip will be in Colorado, where they'll play the Rockies for 3. This ends a stretch of 17 in a row for the Giants.
There's a good chance we will see Madison Bumgarner in Colorado. They're expecting him back in the next 7 to 10 days. We saw him take. How many bullpens do you think we saw him throw?
He's
thrown a couple official ones. And he said one of the factors as to when he returns is if Bruce Bochy's okay with his first start being in the 60-65 pitch range, as opposed to getting him completely stretched out. This is yesterday morning, him throwing a pen. The one thing he doesn't miss is BP every day.
He will throw BP. He will hit BP every day.
And it's as impressive as just about anybody in baseball, his BP. That young man from North Carolina is country strong. 3-2 on Posey. We always say country strong. He's probably weight room strong too.
He'd probably rip a tree out of the ground. Small one.
Who is he, Chuck Norris? What are we doing?
If he didn't sign out of high school, I was chatting with him about this the other day. He was going to go to Chapel Hill, and they were going to let him be a two-way player.
Imagine him with an aluminum bat.
Oh.
I got one more for you. Can you imagine? That's fouled off. Can you imagine him with an aluminum bat when it was -5?
Yeah,
He'd go up there with a 34-29.
What year did he graduate high school?
He may, because
I'm wondering
he may
when.
have been close. What year did they change that? About 10 years ago?
99, I believe.
Okay, so no, he was.
Yeah, he's too young to be able to play with the -5. This bat takes long enough, we might be able to find all the answers.
Yeah, it was 2007. He was drafted in the first round.
And Posey works out a walk.
Those are the at-bats that the Giants are known for, what Buster Posey's known for. Especially late in the game, even though this game has gotten a little bit sideways, the 4-run lead. Posey didn't throw away an at-bat.
And they got 18 runs now, 29 hits the last 2 games. Rockies the first 2 games really shut their offense down. They allowed only 4 runs the first 2 ball games. Longoria is 0 for 2 officially. He has a sac fly and a walk. And now he has a hit. And you're going to hear a big roar here in a moment. Brandon Belt having a terrific first half for the Giants. Hit the tie-breaking 3-run home run in the 7th, his 11th home run of the year. He's got 29 RBIs. He leads them in the Triple Crown categories. Story backpedaling, and he'll make the catch. So we'll go to the 9th inning. The Rockies down 9-5 in San Francisco. Page out of the Atlanta Braves playbook today.
Oh, I like that.
Atlanta was playing the Marlins. They scored 6 in the 9th inning to win. So the postgame show is coming up next.
That'll make the postgame show a little more electric.
A lot more electric. Corey and Spilly will have that from right here in San Francisco. It'll be Nolan leading things off against Hunter Strickland.
A big arm for Hunter Strickland. He's been able to throw a lot more first pitch strikes, so the batting average is now down to a 181 against him. A little bit more than a strikeout per inning. He has blown 2 saves. You want to see a third?
I would love to.
Me too.
Nolan today 3 for 4. The only time he's been retired was on a line drive at the second baseman Tomlinson. That was in his first at bat. Nolan among the league leaders in hitting, came in at 322. Average is up to 333. Foul ground. Posey has a play. And with 1 out, that'll bring up Trevor Story. Trevor's got 2 hits today, 2 for 4. He's driven in a couple of runs. Rockies know they're going to see Walker Buehler, the hard-throwing young righty for the Dodgers, tomorrow night. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, at least right now, is TBA. Fernando Valenzuela is available. They have not activated him in a while.
Oral Hershiser.
Oral Hershiser is available. Usually the Rockies are going to strut out there at Dodger Stadium. German Marquez tomorrow night. Chad Bettis Tuesday. Kyle Freeland on Wednesday night. .97 on the corner, ball and a strike. It's funny, if the Rockies are unable to pull off some magic here, and that'll help. Base hit. You go to San Francisco and you get a split in a 4-game series, you're usually saying, hey, that's good stuff.
That's great.
You know, yet it does right now. It doesn't have the feel of that as there's 1 out and 1 on in the 9th.
Cumulatively, it feels like 1 game got away. You know, half a game yesterday, half a game today. Had those up. You take 1 away from the Giants and you end up winning a series.
Inett at the plate. Pitcher spot is due up next. Gerardo Parra is getting loose. We always ask this question during the season. As players, you know, we know as fans when you, it's one thing if you lose a game 9-1, and it's, you know, you're going to lose games. You're going to lose 60+ games. Everybody does, right? And then you lose the ones where you had a lead in the 9th inning. They feel like a kick in the gut. And then you have, you know, a game like today that not as, if it ends up in the loss column, not as painful as one where you have a 2-run lead and a guy hits a 3-run home run against you in the bottom of the 9th. But do certain ones truly linger longer for players?
I think maybe 30 minutes longer. It may last all the way to the plane ride. But traditionally, baseball players have and are forced to have a short memory.
Forced to.
I mean, you have to, because, again, you have another game tomorrow against a different opponent. You can't let today's game linger and affect tomorrow's. I can only think of maybe a handful of games, even if we go back to 07, that 3-city road trip that we went on involving Houston and Toronto and Pittsburgh, where it was real rough. But those games were forgotten.
Well, I always talk about that time frame specifically because the saving grace was that we rolled into All-Star break. you're forced to be removed from those games. Otherwise, it could have weighed on that team a little bit longer. I always think it's important when you get a team on a roll, it's the confidence factor when you start hearing the quotes, I'm playing for my teammates. We're trusting the lineup.
3-2.
And you'll hear that from teams that are playing well. It's almost universal. Everybody's trying to do their part, pass the baton. I trust the lineup, I trust my teammates.
Iannetta 0 for 3. He walked back in the second inning. And that was the second out. That'll bring up Parra. Parra's been going well. 5 for his last 11. Story's going to move up 90 feet as they had, with 2 outs, decided not to hold him, understandably, especially with a left-handed bat. Two strikes on Parra.
These are great at bats, even though it's 2 strikes.
1-2 on Parra.
Trying to silence the crowd. There's not a better feeling as a ball player going into a visiting yard. Game on the line, and granted, the Rockies still have a lot of work to do. But having 35,000 people screaming for you to be out.
And refusing to make the last out.
Parra trying to keep it alive for Gonzalez. And this kicks away for a moment. Out at third base. That will end the game. As the ball kicked right back or right up to Posey. And he fired to Longoria and he got Story. That can't happen there.
Ball kicked straight up. The awareness of Buster to just grab it and fire. A little concerned for Trevor if he hurt his right wrist at all on the slide.
Hopefully the reason he stayed down was he was upset with himself.
I think there's a little more to it.
That ends the game. Smith gets the victory. Anderson takes the loss. The final score 9-5, so the Rockies get a split here in San Francisco, 2 apiece, and they'll head on down the coast to take on the Dodgers over the next 3 days. They're 3-3 so far on this 9-game California excursion. The Rockies 25-22, and the Giants back to 500, 24-24. The Toyota postgame show.